All right, Jared Lajani here with Main Street Mogul. Super excited to be here with my friend and local hometown business owner, Lynn Rhodes.
Good morning.
Good morning, from RX3 Construction.
That's right.
So Lynn, thank you so much for being here this morning. I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate it. Just going to get into it a little bit, Lynn. RX3 Construction, how'd you come up with that name? Does it have any meaning, or just tell me about
It
that?
does. Basically, when we started off, we was right in the midst of Hurricane Ida recovery, and I had previous businesses that were named Rhodes Carpentry, Rhodes this,
Okay.
from plenty of years ago, and I wanted it not to be just one thing. I wanted it to be a collaboration of multiple crafts that we would do. And with the hurricane, the restoration was definitely a point that needed to be emphasized. So we started playing around with it. I think I got on Facebook, asked some friends for some recommendations. And we had roads, restoration, and renovations, which is the three R's.
Got it.
And actually, a friend of mine, a local guy, he texted me and he said, "Man," he said, "how about RX3?" And it came off the tip of the tongue in the right way. So like RX3, and a lot of people ask me what that's for, and it's roads, restoration, and renovations.
Got it.
So it kind of
Got it.
encapsulates everything that we do. It helps out with efficiency as well, because it's quite cumbersome writing roads, restoration. And
Yeah,
renovation.
went over.
So
Just
we kind of
RX3.
downsized it to just RX3 LLC.
I love it.
That's what we go with.
I love it.
So
They say when you go in business, at first, you want to keep it simple, right? You want to focus, build a platform, right? So a lot of times you want to just do one thing, but you jumped right into doing restoration, renovation, and what
Right.
else?
we do maintenance on properties as far as like
So
rental
from
properties and so
from
forth.
day one, you just went all in with it.
Yeah, it actually started. I was working at Walmart. The storm hit, and I've had associates that worked for me that had damages.
Okay.
And I've got a background in construction, so the first thing we done, was, hey, okay, we're gonna line up a couple people, and we're gonna go get this tree from your porch so you can exit and enter your house.
All in, man.
So
So I love that. So the very crux and start of the business was just helping people.
yes,
It just your heart was in the right place.
Yes,
I just want to help people,
Right.
and you just started helping people, and it grew from there.
right. We went clean yards for people. It was all just
And
community service.
for those of you watching that don't know, he's talking about Hurricane Ida. Our community was devastated. There was a lack of ethical people helping out. There was a
Right.
lot of people doing things and scamming people, and there was a huge need for people that could be trusted to help out. It was a really rough time.
Yeah, it was, and that people were devastated. They didn't know where to go or who to go to. It hadn't even got to a point where we had insurances stepping in yet. This
Yeah.
was all just trying to get some type of normalcy in your home and for your life. We'd go clean a yard. We would hear about somebody that needed some
I love
help.
it.
We'd go, crank up their generator.
Yeah.
It was just basic helping out. And then,
I love it.
We kind of stumbled upon a couple people, and they're like, "Hey, you know how to fix a fence?" Yeah, I could fix a fence.
Man, that's amazing,
And
man.
it just kind of grew
So
from there.
I know one of my favorite sayings. Anybody that knows me, that's been around me, I say this all the time. When I first started my career, I was a huge Zig Ziglar fan, and Zig Ziglar saying that I've kind of made my mantra is the best way to get what you want out of life is help enough other people get what they want.
Yep.
And that's literally what you started doing, is just helping other
Right.
people, and
Exactly.
then you started being blessed from your activity.
Yeah.
Man, that is so cool, Lynn. And it sounds like what you've done is you just started taking action. You didn't really sit there and analyze and think how. They say a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll spend so long kind of analysis by paralysis. And they say a lot of times we always are asking ourselves how, and we should just start doing stuff and then we figure it out. Not that we don't have wisdom and figure out how to do stuff, but I think a lot of times we spend so long trying to figure out how to do something that we never even start.
Right, and a lot of it's to do with the fear of failure. I mean, if you're just going to dive in, if you're going to think about it for too long, it's going to hinder you from just wanting to dive in and do it.
Man, that's good.
When I was at Walmart, I was kind of known as the, I'm not going to say outcast, but I was the guy that just took care of business, you know.
GSD.
Yeah. And a lot of the other, my peers, store managers and all, they would always call me like, why are you doing that? Who told you to do that? How did you figure out to do that? I'm just doing it. It just feels right. It's what the customer needs. It's what the business needs.
Oh,
I'm just going and doing it. And every now and then it would get you in a little bit of trouble, so say, you know, because you might cross a line that the corporate didn't want you to cross.
Sure.
But your results were overshadowed, those times that you didn't go the right direction.
The right thing's always the right thing.
Yeah, and
And the right thing's usually the hard thing, right?
right. I was always that person. I just grab the reins and just roll with it.
I love it, man. That restoration business, I know a little bit about it. We kind of dabble with it a little bit. That is a tough business,
Yeah.
right? And restoration, is that like dealing with flood or mostly flooding?
Yeah, it's mostly water damage from the storm is what we started out at. Roofs not getting tarp quick enough. That was another thing that we, was one of our first services we offered was tarp and roofs. But
That's right.
if a roof didn't get tarp quick enough, it took on water, and chances are some out-of-state company came in and told them, I'm going to do all your work with your insurance. I'm going to bill them. I'm going to take care of you. Let me get all this out your house before it molds and your house is just unlivable forever. And they would go in and just gut it,
I'm familiar.
And then I would be on the backside and coming in and, okay, what happened? And now the insurance company's asking me, why are you having to repair all this? Well, it wasn't storm damage, but it was demoed. So it creates a lot of turmoil between the contractor, the customer, and the insurance company.
So were you actually dealing with the insurance company and dealing with that end of it? Because in
Sometimes,
my
yes.
experience, that's the most difficult part of that
Yes.
industry is dealing with the insurance company.
Right, and it was all brought about by this demo company that came in and just gutted it, but they were long gone.
Out of town.
Never
Take the
seen
money
them
and
again.
run.
Right. So, I actually just finished one up Friday that we've been working on for over a year. And we were actually the second contractor. The first contractor, the customer opted to fire him. But we were trying to piece this house back together, and this was a custom-built home that had, certain aspects of it. It was not items you find on the shelf at Lowe's or online.
I understand.
So,
So that made it real easy and real cheap, right?
Right. Trying to match marbles
Yeah.
and trying to keep the budget because the insurance, wants to keep you at,
So
at what
cool.
their cost they believe it needs to be.
So cool. So you've mentioned it several times, man, and we've talked a little bit about it, but your time at Walmart, right? So I've read Sam Walton's book. I love his story, right? He's that gritty American dream entrepreneur. A lot of people don't know, but he bootstrapped it, right?
Yeah.
And when he was alive, I think Walmart was probably one of the best companies around,
Yeah.
right? They say he made more millionaires in Arkansas, and there's still, I think today, and I have to fact check this, but they say there's still more millionaires around his little town of Arkansas. You know what the hometown is up there?
Rogers.
Rogers. So there's more millionaires per capita in Rogers than anywhere else in the country.
I can believe it.
And it's all directly contributed to Sam Walton.
Yeah.
Because when he started, he would like give them stocks and do that. And
Right.
he just really believed in growing his team and helping people succeed and made a bunch of millionaires. So can you just tell me a little bit about your time at Walmart and just kind of tell me a little bit about that and how it maybe contributed to your success today, if it
Right.
did?
Well, I visited Rogers, Arkansas, where the home office is, quite a few times, and it's not only amazing what you see that Walmart has constructed as far as in-house. It's all the other vendors, the Procter Gambles, the Tyson Foods. It's so many other people that Walmart sucked into that little town.
Yeah.
Because they wanted them at their hand when they needed them. So it's really astronomical what it did in that area. You know, it's beautiful out there. They've got some museums and different things.
That's amazing. I've
Yeah.
never been. I'll have to put that on my list.
Yeah,
Check that
it's a
out.
pretty cool little place to go. If you go, check out the little five and dime store, the little ice cream shop.
Yeah.
It's like you're walking into the '60s, and it's
Yeah.
just a good time.
So, you know, in his book, if I remember, he had a five and dime that he started at first, and he was successful. But the landlord saw he was having success, kicked him out that store, and took it over thinking he'd have the same success.
Right.
And of course he didn't, because it wasn't the store that made it successful, it was Sam Walton.
Right.
And without Sam Walton, that store didn't make it.
Exactly.
And that's when he said, I'll never be in that situation again. That's when he went and started building his own stores, and started
right.
Walmart.
He was the guy, the pioneer that brought out the discount, you know, buy
Yeah.
by bulk.
Yeah.
I mean, he had so many different items at Walmart. They call them VIP items, volume increasing products.
So let me ask you, Lynn, not to cut you off, because I could talk about Sam Walton all
Yeah.
day. I love him. But how did your time at Walmart and being under that leadership at that time, did it help you be a better entrepreneur today? Do you think you learned anything there that helped you do what you're doing today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the idea and the philosophy behind Walmart is actually beautiful. And I know they get a bad rap a lot of times, and there's some other compounding factors nowadays.
Well, I'd like to just preface this, if you agree, is that the Walmart that was existing under Sam Walton and the Walmart that exists today is two different Walmarts.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's just preface that.
Definitely, definitely. But Mr. Sam believed in taking care of his customers, and the way he took care of his customers is by taking care of his employees first.
I love it, man.
One of his quotes, his sayings was, "I take care of the employees, and they take care of the customers."
Still as true today as it ever was.
Yeah, as simple as can be, and you know, you keep your employees happy, and you take care of them, and then they go and take
Man.
care of all your customers. So it just spreads like wildfire. So all of the ideas behind what created the greatness of Walmart, and how his leadership, how he would walk into a building unannounced and go kneel down on the floor. He didn't want a chair. He didn't want any type of recognition. He wanted to kneel down on the floor, and he wanted all of his associates to go around him, and he wanted to ask them, "How can I make your job easier?
I love it.
How can I make you successful? How can I
A
what
leader,
can I
a leader
do?"
without a title.
Right. What can I do? You know, and he came in with his ball cap on, and you know, he wasn't real flashy, and he had his old pickup truck.
Oh, man.
But it really helped me to know that you've got to take care of your employees, and you've got to take care of your customers.
Yes, sir.
So that it's really that simple.
Yeah.
And when I went into RX3, I told myself, I said, that's what we're going to do. I said, that's what we're going to do. You know,
And you've seen it work in real practice.
Oh,
You
absolutely,
knew it worked.
absolutely, especially coming in right after the storm, because so many people had been scammed and taken advantage of. All they wanted was somebody that they could look at and trust.
Yes, sir.
And know that, okay,
That'll still be here next week, too.
this guy's different. You know, this guy's not like the first three that came that I can't even contact. You know, and just little simple things like answering the phone when they call. You know,
So simple, but so powerful, right? Yeah.
Right. And, you know, just
I love it.
checking in on them and making sure that that customer knows that you've got their best interest.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes, you know, not all jobs are profitable. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes bad things happen. And, you know, that 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 jobs that don't go your way, the other 8 make up for it.
That's right.
But
You got to take them L's, but that's where we learn, too, right?
that's where we learn, and that's where we make a profound impact. And that's where we show people that we're going to take care of them no matter what.
We're going to do the right thing, even if it costs us money.
Absolutely.
I believe that 100.
And I tell my customers that all the time. Look, I apologize that this didn't go our way, but I could promise you one thing. I'm not leaving this house until you're smiling.
You're getting me excited, Lan, dude. I love it.
I'll be here until the end, no matter what.
I love it, man. Let's real quick though. I got to talk. Not that we're going to move on, but one of my favorite stories from Sam Walton was how he flew his airplanes over the parking lots. When he was already worth millions and millions, he'd fly his airplane over those parking lots
Count the cars.
and count the cars. And if it wasn't full enough, he'd land
Right.
and go into that manager, call his wife, say, "Look, I'm gonna be away for a couple of days." He'd go in that store and personally fix it.
Yeah.
And they say every time he'd go in within a week, he would have that store turned around.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing, right? All right, Lynn. So we were talking about your previous entrepreneurship. You were 16, 17 years old. What?
So I was in construction focused, and then I kind of got interested in other things. And when I
Okay.
say I got interested in other things, I started driving. I had a vehicle. I wanted to fix it up. I had a lot of cousins and friends that were in the auto body business.
Got it.
So I got pulled a little into that. I started college at some point. And then my next entrepreneurial focus was paint and body work.
Okay.
So I
Good
actually,
industry. High
yeah,
profit margins, right?
yeah. So I actually did a little work I worked for Danton Chevrolet. I worked for a couple other small body shops, but then I decided, hey, once again, I got a shed. I can turn that shed into my own little paint booth.
So no matter where you went or what you done, eventually
Right.
you were always going back to.
I can do this on my own.
So you were born an entrepreneur, whether you knew it
Yeah,
or not.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my second focus, and then you know, as far as business and what I done for a living, that carried me through college at some point around 23, 24.
Okay.
And then the college brought me to Walmart.
Got it. Did you graduate college? Mm-hmm. Wow. What'd you graduate?
Bachelor's in business with a
No
focus
way,
in
man.
accounting. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Right there
Wow.
at Nickel State.
Good for you. So you're a Nichols alumni.
Yep, I tell a lot of people it took me 12 years to get a 4-year degree, but I never gave up.
Hey, man, you got it.
I
That's
never
all that
gave up.
matters.
I never gave
That's
up.
all that matters, man. That is a cool story. Was your dad an entrepreneur?
Yes. Yep.
Tell me, you want to talk a little bit about him? Just a
Yeah.
little bit.
My dad actually owned a few different businesses in town, but all the way dating back to my birth, I lived in the grocery store that him and my mom operated.
What was that grocery store?
That grocery store was right over on, that would be East 7th and Good Street on the corner.
Okay.
It was Concierge Grocery at one time.
Concierge Grocery.
But then my mom and dad went into it and it was called Goober's Grocery.
Goobers?
Goober.
Is there a story behind Goobers?
Goober was my mom's nickname at that time.
Got it.
So I've seen a couple pictures of me in the store. You know, it was right there by what used to be Thibodeau Elementary, which I believe is now maybe offices for the school board. I'm not sure. Thibodeau Elementary got the new school on the opposite side.
That's right.
Well, right there, I've seen a couple pictures. My dad tells me about it. They sold candy and cigarettes, and this was 40-something years ago.
Right.
You know, sliced lunch meat, things like that. So he done that. He also, like me, worked for companies. He did welding offshore. He worked for Pepsi for a long while. But now that I'm thinking about it, kind of just like me, maybe I saw what he did and got attracted to it because he worked for Pepsi, but he also bought old vending machines and he had his own rack.
I love it.
So at a young age.
So at a young age, it was getting put in you. You kind of saw what was
At a
happening.
young age, I can remember packing up. He would find all the sales of, you know, today it costs what, 14, 15 bucks for a case of Coke. I remember going to get 12 packs,
Yeah.
3 for $2 from Eckert's. And
Yeah.
wherever the sale was, we would go buy the cheapest 12 packs.
I love it.
We would ride from here all the way to Galliano area, La Rose area, filling these Coke machines.
God dang.
Counting quarters.
Hustling.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man, I love it. Is your dad still with us, Lynn?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah?
He is. He's doing great.
I love it. Does he help you with the business at all, or?
He gives me a lot of advice with it. He does. You
I bet
know.
he must be so proud of you. Y'all had a good little bit of success in a short period of time with RX3.
Yeah, and he's been influential more than he knows probably. You
Man,
know,
that's
because at
awesome.
times it was hard to take advice from him. It just felt like I was being, you know, parented, so to say. But you know, I do listen to everything he says and all his feedback, and I do look at his ventures and use them to my advantage, you know, because after that, I mean, he had a photography studio downtown. He too went back to college late and got a bachelor's degree.
That is awesome.
And his most recent that he retired out of is he had GLR Cycles, which was a little motorcycle shop by the old library in town.
Yeah, I've seen it. What
Yeah,
you talking about?
and he sold all the little kiddie four-wheelers
Yeah.
and all, and so motorbike repairs,
Really
things
cool.
like that.
So give our listeners a little bit of an idea of RX3, like, so they can kind of just get an idea of, I don't want you to give revenue, but like, How many employees are you managing right now?
Currently 12 on
Okay.
Hourly payroll,
Okay.
and I utilize 3 to 4 subcontractors.
Wow. And what year did you start? Right around the storm, which was
2021, yeah.
2021. So in 4 years, you scaled to 12 plus
And we're not
employees,
even 3
subs,
years yet.
not even 3 years.
Yeah.
So this is uncanny success. A lot of
Yes.
people go into entrepreneurship, especially this type, this restoration, construction. It's one of the harder businesses to go into. Man, I mean, it's amazing. What's one thing that you think is contributing to having that much success that fast, Lynn?
I wouldn't say cheap or low price because we're not. I think we're in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
I think we're a little too low sometimes.
You know,
but
You know what? Let me just, so one thing I can tell you for sure, you're not successful because of your price. I don't care if, you know, a lot of people, especially when we start, we think being cheap is how we'll get customers. And what I've seen is most of the people that go cheap actually aren't in business for a long time.
right.
You got to do something. You got to do something different. I don't want to get too racy here, but it's like, you ever heard somebody say, "Oh, a pretty girl had success because she was pretty," maybe?
Right,
And I always call BS on that because there's a lot of pretty girls that don't accomplish. You're doing something different than
Right.
everybody else, right? I don't want to, but
And it goes back. It goes back to what I said originally: is that letting that customer know from the start that I'm with you. That this is more important.
so
to
you'd
me.
say that just your being honest, your integrity, standing on your word,
Right.
and just that in today's world of contractors, that's not as common as it should be. And just because you've proved your integrity over and over again, word of mouth,
Word
and
of
that,
mouth, definitely.
and you said it earlier, you answer your phone,
Right.
you do the right thing when it's hard. So just really having
Yeah.
integrity.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and being there for the customer, and just to keep on driving at it, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many losses we took,
Persistence.
we just made it happen.
Yeah.
And we found a formula on how to make it happen and come up with great results. It's been rough. It's been hard.
It always
still
is. Yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
Lynn.
We're going through a little transition right now where it's getting to the point, and 3 months ago, towards the beginning of the year, I told myself I want to start broadening my scope, my territory, and I started in the back of my head coming up with ways to do that, and I even started lining up the finances to be able to start doing it and making it happen, and I started speaking it. And right after that, things just started going bad. Had problem after problem after problem, and
You know what they say, disruption follows intention.
Right.
So you start doing stuff, making moves, and you're going to start having problems.
Yes,
But it's only through having problems and solving them that we get better and actually push through to the next level.
absolutely, and it actually, I took it as a sign from God, and it said that, hold on, step back a minute, let's assess what you have before you try to make it bigger.
Yes, sir.
And I kind of put that on pause and said, let's make what we have the most efficient it can be.
Have a real solid platform and then build off of that
machine,
platform.
and let's get this machine well oiled and get it operating, flawlessly. Then let's make it bigger. Because I was taking something that, if something happened to me, there wasn't anybody that knows what I do. I mean, I'm it. My guys and my ladies that work for me, they can carry out day-to-day processes. But if I wasn't there to line them up, point them in the right direction, and make
Understand.
everything happen, they would come to work and would take one day for them to just draw a blank.
I understand, Lynn.
So recently, I've took one of my employees, and she's my assistant, my sidekick. She's got some tasks that I put on her, and I'm teaching her and training her.
So you're building out processes and
Yeah,
systems.
so
You're learning to delegate, all the fun stuff.
Absolutely, and learn to let go a little bit because it's hard to let go. This is my baby. This is my creation.
I had a conversation with some recently about this very topic, and I'm glad you bring it up because I think one of the biggest challenges that people face when they're trying to scale their businesses, and first of all, I encourage people to scale because until you scale, you just have a good paying job.
Right.
And what you want to have is a business, and there's a difference.
Yes,
Right?
definitely.
But I think a lot of people, and I had this personal experience, is, you know, we have so much. It is our baby, right? We grow it from the ground up. We put so much energy and so much emotion into it, and we want to bring in people, but we want them to treat our customers the way that we would,
Right.
right? And nobody will treat your customers the way that you will. It's not going to happen. And so you do have to let go of that vine and have those processes and systems, and understand that people won't do it the way exactly that you would do it, and be okay with that to an extent,
Right.
right? And that's hard.
Yeah, and I also have to sell that to my customers because I've got so many customers that either know me or know of me, and I've sent, my new assistant to take care of something for them, and no, they tell them, no, I want to talk to Lynn. I called for Lynn to come.
That's
And
tough,
it's
man.
like, I mean,
But you know what, Lynn? You'll get it. You know, great
yeah,
leaders recreate leaders.
yeah, absolutely.
Right. So man, that's so cool. I want to hit on this a little bit, Lynn, and I don't know how vulnerable you want to be with this, but I want to try to just have people understand that we can go through challenges and overcome them and still have a lot of success. So you have a little bit of a background with a little bit of addiction at all, or you want
Yeah.
to maybe just touch on that a little bit,
Yeah,
however much you're
definitely.
comfortable with it?
And I knew we would come to this point and talk about this, so I kind of didn't mention it throughout, talking about my different businesses and growing up and starting early. Um, but, I was always smart, whether it be making the grades at school, whether it being figuring things out, learning quick. I was always had the smarts, and that was something that I was blessed with. That started me off at a very young age, but it also ended up, getting me into some trouble.
Yeah.
Thinking I knew better and thinking that.
Did you have more money at a young age than a lot of your peers?
Yeah, yeah. And it really it put me on this. I'm not gonna say on an island by myself, but I felt different. I felt that I didn't have the same lifestyle, and I didn't in a lot of ways that most other kids had. And it made me want to grow up quick. I was 13 years old working a job. I was 14-year-old, had a car. Wasn't supposed to have a car, but I had a car, and I drove that car like I was of age to drive that car. And it brought a lot of opportunities that were negative
I see.
to me. My mom at the time did not enforce any type of rules. She just let us go because of her own addictions. So I was allowed to do things that kids my age never should have been allowed to do. And it brought me down some bad roads. I started drinking, got around the wrong crowds that did drugs. I got into that, and it took over me.
Yeah.
It took over me. It made me feel like a different person. It made me feel normal. It made me feel a part of, versus this kid that just was a workaholic and smart and kind of separated himself. It made me feel a part of the normal lifestyle that kids went through, partying, dances, drinking, things like that. But I always took it to the extreme. And
Most entrepreneurs do.
it seems to be my thing, because I could do it really, really good, or I can do it really, really bad too.
Yeah.
And when those same people that I was partying with were shutting it down and going home and going back to college and going to work the next day, I just kept partying. And they had a lot of things that I learned at a later age, at a much later age, that contributed to that. My upbringing, the things that I saw, the things that I lived through, just a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
A lot of things that kids that shouldn't be put through. But I had moments of I had ups and downs constantly.
Sure.
I said it earlier, it took me 12 years to get a 4-year degree, and that's because I would go and then I would quit. I would go and then I would quit. Well, somewhere around 24, 25, first kid was born. My daughter, she's 19 now.
That'll change your story.
Oh yeah,
Huh?
yep. You know, that really helped me grow up in a lot of aspects, and I knew that no matter what, that was my focus now. That kid was something that I would never ever turn my face from. That I would never not take care of.
Right.
Now I wish I could tell you that everything after that was perfect, but it wasn't. You know, I struggled and I went back and forth with alcohol and drugs. You know, by the time she was 2 years old, I had her for a year or so custody, just me and her.
Oh, wow.
So,
Well, Lynn, thank you for sharing that. I know that can be vulnerable, but you've overcome it,
yeah,
and you have a successful business. Now you mentor others.
right.
How'd your faith play into you ultimately overcoming addiction, and how does it play into your success now as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think, and it almost carries the timeline of where, you know, me and her, it was me and her. I was back in college. I met this woman, and
Sounds like trouble, Lynn.
no,
No? Okay.
not this one.
All right,
The previous
good.
one was.
All right.
Yeah, the previous one definitely. I met this woman I met this young lady, this girl, whatever you want to call her. We were kids, and she showed me something that I'd never seen. She showed me a love that families have for each other, and
Wow.
unconditional love
That agape love?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it made me believe that there was something way better. You know, still to this day, she's my daughter's mom.
That is incredible.
She's my wife of 16 years, and she's
Is that your wife now?
Yeah.
That you're married to?
Yep, yep.
That is
It'll
incredible.
be 17 years this November. God knows how she put up with me that long. I don't know. Like I said, between my crazy ideas and the things that I go after to do, that she just kind of sits back and accepts sometimes, and then the downside of when I wasn't living right.
Sure, but she stood through you and loved you when maybe she shouldn't have.
Just like my mentor saw something in me, she saw something in me.
Man, that is
she
amazing.
saw something in me that I can see now, but it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of, I was first really involved spiritually, and got into a spiritual essence through 12-step programs.
Yeah, sure.
And those programs are really cut and dry on how they operate, because they want to be available to everybody, no matter what your religious background is. And
They like to talk about a higher power,
right,
but I think we know it's Jesus.
yeah, definitely,
Right?
definitely. And I went through that program and that lifestyle, and it kept me on a straight and narrow for many, many years. It helped me become a much better person, but it was always something that was still missing. And that thing that was missing was, it wasn't a higher power. It was our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir.
So I started attending the First Baptist Church right here in Thibodeau. That's what I knew from my family, and that I had been to other types of churches like Catholic and even Pentecostal, and the Baptist church was the one where I still had a few family members that went, that I knew, and I was the most comfortable. So me and my wife started attending that. We got a little into it. We met with the pastor, and we got baptized, and it was important to us at that time, but we slowly kind of got away from it.
Sure.
And I went through periods in life where I questioned, okay, is there an afterlife? Is there something after this? Or is it just a great idea to follow that direction because it makes you a better person? And at times, it's hurtful to admit, but at times that's the way I believe that, hey, look, maybe there's a God, maybe there isn't, but I'm going to follow these directions because it feels right. And that kept me on a fine line, on a fence top that I could have fell over the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, recent 2-3 years that I've really dove in and started reading the Bible and started meeting
Love
up
it.
with people that that were into the Bible and God's Word, and people that had faith and people that had success.
And seeing
with
it walked out.
Yeah.
Man, I love it. So what I'm hearing you say, man, is, I mean, your story is amazing, right? You came from really a loving family, but not loving in the way that you got to see later on, different. Not a lot of direction. You had a lot of money, a car at a young age, got a lot of the wrong crowd, really got out there, but still got a degree.
Right.
So you always were persistent.
Right.
Right? Always seeing other entrepreneurs. Met a beautiful woman. I've met your wife. She's amazing, right?
Yes,
And she
she is.
showed you unconditional love, which is probably something you had never really experienced in that way before.
Correct.
And then knowing you wanted to be a better man for her and for your daughter, got plugged into the 12 step, got plugged into Jesus. As normal, had some questions, we always do, but as you walked out the principles, you started to get blessed, and then your faith just continued to grow and grow and grow.
Right.
Is that
Absolutely. And it didn't really kick in probably until 4 or 5 years ago, and I saw my kids, and I have a son as well. He's 16 now, Mr. Landon.
yes?
And he actually works with me, so that's awesome. But I saw them, and they were already grown up, and my daughter was even more grown than him. And they had lived through so much of my ups and downs and inconsistencies, whether it was drug use or whether it was DUIs, getting in trouble with the law.
Sure.
And they had lived through so much of that I looked at them and I made a promise to them that I would never, ever, ever do anything to them again that would hurt them.
Man, that's powerful.
And when I did that, I had to have some kind of tools to back it up.
That's right.
Because my own thinking wasn't good enough.
That's right.
Because my thinking would be is, I could I could make them feel great, but then what they don't know on the side, I can get away with, and if it means sneaking off and going to drink a couple beers, I can do that. And I found out that I can't do that.
Yeah, because they won't listen to what you say. They're going to do what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the control in me to be able to live that two-part life that I thought I could live. And
Nobody really does, Lynn.
And when I really started, getting down to the nitty-gritty of it and looking at it, it was like, man, I gotta stop. I gotta change. I gotta go. And when I gotta go hard after this. And money and success didn't look as great as it did to me before. What looked great was making things right between me and my family and making sure that they had the opportunity to have money and success.
Man, you are hitting on it. And you know what? And I see is most people that have a lot of success, and success is defined in different ways, not just money.
Right.
My definition of success is to be financially free, but also be that husband and that father.
Absolutely.
But you've been talking about it throughout this whole interview, is that integrity and that doing things that others won't. I think if you just focus on doing the right thing, you actually end up making more money than if you focus on the money.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
It does itself.
It does itself.
And
Money
it's-
becomes the byproduct of the value and the integrity.
Right. And it was the same way whenever I met my wife. I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. I mean, I wasn't looking for a long-term
Good stuff,
relationship.
man. This is so good, Lynn.
You got to work on yourself.
Right.
It's not about building this beautiful life around you. It's about building it within you.
You know what I tell entrepreneurs all the time when they're struggling is what we don't realize is that the business will never outgrow us. We have to be willing to grow who we are as people to grow our business. So we have to change and constantly be working on us and growing ourselves. Our business will never outgrow us, right? A lot of people don't get that.
And I think that has a lot to do with the people that the trust I've built with the community is that the humility of how I carry myself and how I look at life. I mean, I can get a phone call right now and it could be one of my guys screwed something up.
Which if you're in business, that will happen.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And my mindset is like, how did I not set him up
For
to be
success.
What can I do different? How did he mess up on my time? Because it's what did I do that didn't make it work out right? Now, grant you, he may be the one that caused the whole thing physically and in the the grand scheme of things, but there was something that I didn't do that allowed it to happen that way. And it takes a lot of humility.
That's the buck stops here kind of thing.
Right.
What's that book? You ever read Extreme Ownership?
Yes, yes, with the
Yeah,
Navy SEALs.
with the Navy SEALs.
Love it.
That's it. No matter when you're a business owner, there's a lot of things out of your control, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you own
It's
it.
you.
It's yours.
Yeah, that's right. And when you become willing to accept that and willing to work on and fix what's necessary to make it go right the next go round, it's so much easier.
Yeah, man, good stuff, Lynn. You talked a little bit about working with your son. Man, I've met your son. This guy is so humble and so hardworking. He's literally like your shadow.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you if nobody's told you, I'm sure you know this, but I could just see when y'all interact. This dude loves you and respects you. Like he wants to be you.
Right.
He's like a little Lynn Rhodes.
He's
He's a big guy, so he's not little, but
he's bigger than me now. But there was a time in my life when I wanted to give up, and me and him, my daughter was already at an age where she was starting to go out into the world, but he was still that little boy that was looking up to me, and I had to hold on to that relationship. He kept me going.
that is awesome, man.
He don't know how much he kept me going, because if it wasn't for the ability, because see, he still gave me that look that he didn't judge. He didn't look at me as, you screwed up, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. He just looked at me as his dad, and somebody that he wanted to be around. And that kept me going, and it was really, really good time in my life. It was a big transformation for me from being a person that focused on the dollar and chasing the jobs and the high level, with Walmart, the higher up the better. And it reminded me that, hey, okay, I got to pick what's most important. And I listened to a lot of different speakers, but one is Eric Thomas, and he says, "What's important to you?"
Eric Thomas.
He says, "What makes you what motivates you?" And it might not be the Bugattis and the mansions and all that. That might not be what it is. It may be that child smile. And he said, find what motivates you and then go after it like your life depends on it. And that's what started. My motivation changed, and it changed to my wife and my 2 kids smiling, and he's stuck with it. He likes.
That reminds me of a Stoic saying. It says, "Stop talking about being a good man, just be one."
Yeah, he jumped in like crazy, man. I tell you, I went off on some wild ventures just to keep him going. As a little boy, he rode sheep, and then he started riding the little cows, and
So whatever he was into, you were into.
I went buy 20 acres of land, and got a horse and a bull, and then that lasted so long, and then I started thinking of my old days with cars, and I said, okay, so he really got into that, and I went buy a Corvette, and we tore it apart, and we put it back, brand new Corvette. My wife thought we were crazy.
Yeah, probably were.
Yeah, we definitely were. We definitely were. $80,000 car, and we've got
Tear it apart.
We've got it in a storage shed in pieces. Like I'm talking about the motor in pieces, and because but it really, really brought us together. And now he's 16, and he could change an alternator.
That's amazing. And y'all have a few cars now. That's still a passion y'all share.
He's actually he's almost got more than me now.
So what do y'all have? Y'all have a Corvette?
I have a Corvette, kind of a street race car. I have a '71 Cadillac, airbags and rims and
the
whole works. And then I've got my truck, that I drive, and then I've got company vehicles. But he's bought a Super Beetle Volkswagen with his own money, with his earned money. He's got a Corvette. It's a '79 C3 Corvette that my dad gave him, which means a lot.
That's special, right?
Yeah, my dad's got Corvette. My dad's got a C7 like me. When he got his, he gave the C3 to Landon, and I had a C7, so now we all 3 have Corvettes.
So it's a generational thing, and y'all got it.
Yeah, and my dad had Corvettes before that.
I love it, man.
And he's also got his little Ford Ranger that, whenever when my daughter got, I love cars. So it was a no-brainer that my kids were gonna have cars.
Yeah.
It's like that's a way to buy a new car. Babe, we gotta buy this for Laney.
Yeah, right.
So
For Laney.
when Laney
Yeah.
was 15, I bought her a brand new car. She couldn't even drive yet. He sat in the driveway. Well, he came to that age, and I asked him. We talked about it, and he really surprised me. He's like, I saw this Ford Ranger on the side of the road. I'm like, okay. He said, do you think we can go look at it? We went look at it. This truck had a busted out window, flat tire, grass growing up around it. You sure that's what you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dad, we could fix that. I said, I know we can fix that,
Oh,
but I'll buy you a truck that's already drivable. You sure? No, I don't want that. That costs too much. I want that one.
Man, there's something about loving these cars, right?
Yeah.
I like cars, but I don't know if I love them. But I know you have a love, a passion
yeah.
for them. I have a 21-year-old who loves them, has a passion.
Right.
And I can remember when he was young, he might have been 16 or 17. He bought this old busted Toyota that didn't even run. He had been working, saving his money, and he spent every dollar he had on this busted Toyota. If you got a passion for it, you just love it, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that's what he drives to school every day now. His 2002 Ford Ranger.
And he loves it.
Yellow,
Man.
shiny yellow. I offered to paint it, and he don't want
Man.
to.
That is so good, Lynn. I love that you get the opportunity not to
Yeah.
just work with your kid, but that y'all share a similar passion,
Right.
and your dad's into it. That's the good stuff in life, right?
Definitely.
That's so cool, man.
Definitely, that means so much more right now than any
Than
dollar
anything
amount
else.
I could ever put
Yeah.
on anything.
Yeah. Let me just real quick. We're kind of coming to our time. I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to keep you longer. 'Cause
Okay.
I know you got to go make those customers happy.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it, but I'll just hit a few things. What's the future of RX3?
Well, like I said earlier, I thought about expanding because I know there's opportunity in other territories here in Southeast Louisiana. But I need to take what I have, and it's going to take a lot of heart, and it's going to take a lot of some decision making on some things that I probably avoid doing. And I've got to take this team and really push them up to the next level where they can start operating with less of me.
Got it.
So my plan right now is implementing processes and structure, and hopefully we'll be back a year from now talking about expanding. But for right now, if it takes a year to really grind out and take what we've got and make it even better,
Yes.
then that's what we'll do. Because I don't want to expand, and I know what's going to happen. If I take something that's not functioning like it should and I make it bigger, then I just have more dysfunctional.
Yep, I get it.
And I don't want to tie myself up that much.
I love that. I love the way you're thinking about it, and I think you're dead on. Just knowing you, man, I think in 5 years, who knows what the future could be? It's going to be amazing. And I think the hardest thing as entrepreneurs, they say, really what brings us success sometimes is the things we say no to more than the things we say yes to, and doing things in the right time.
Right.
So having that ability to look at it, seeing the opportunity, but having the wisdom to say, you know what, let me really just hone this in and make this strong before I expand,
Right.
just speaks to your wisdom and your business savvy.
Well, that's another thing I took from Walmart, because when I was first with Walmart, it was always the saying that sales cures everything.
Yeah.
So it don't matter how bad your store looks or how bad your complaint rate is. It was, if you're making your sales plan, then you're going to get a pass on it.
Got it.
That really gave me a bad mindset when it comes to running a small business, because I'm not
It's
making
different.
billions.
You're not billions.
So, I mean, $1 million for me is not important as that profit line. If I could do 800,000 versus the million, but lift that profit line, then why not just do 800,000?
And 1% in your
Yeah.
case would be huge. Yeah.
Right. So, it's really about challenging myself and my team to be more efficient, to make more money out of less sales.
I love it, Lynn. What do you think so far has been the biggest challenge for you? Or your biggest loss so far, if you want to, what's the thing that, man, you could go back and have that one back?
As far as with the business,
With the business, yeah.
pay structure.
With the employees?
Yeah.
Just restructuring it different than what you do
Yeah,
now? And as
inconsistencies
far
in
as the way that it incentivizes?
Yeah, they're well compensated with respect to our local and
Sure.
even state averages.
Sure.
But I really went too hard on, I'm gonna take care of you. and I kind of put the company at risk a few times.
We all do that, right? We love people so much, it's like we don't have good boundaries.
Right, you know, I mean, I was giving out raises like pizza parties, and, you know,
That's good for profit, right?
yeah, yeah, and you know, tacking
And
on
let me ask you,
bonuses and
this: quality control is big, right? Even being that generous and giving those bonuses, it didn't give you the results you were looking for, or incentivize, or impact the way that you thought that it would. Because, and let me just preface this and see if we had the same. In my experience, I believe in taking care of your people. I want to be the highest paying. I want to pay well.
Right.
But I believe a person has a work ethic, and no matter how much you pay them, they're going to work that way. And never once have I paid somebody more money and then they started to do better than they were before.
exactly, exactly, and it almost goes back to what's most important to you, because if I'm just throwing money at you expecting you to just get better,
It's not going to work
it's
that
kind of
way.
crazy thing.
It is.
It
And we
is.
all, as young
And I've
entrepreneurs,
done
we
it.
all do it. I've done it
Yeah,
too.
and I've done it, you know, and versus giving them a skill set and training and developing them and making sure that you're picking the right person. You're
Right.
not always got the right
Right.
person. You know, it might be a
Yeah,
great
I want to pay you
person.
better when you already are awesome.
Yeah.
I used to think that I could pay them more and they'd become awesome.
Right,
And that never
I
works.
found myself in a situation where I was basically paying high wages to teach you to do a job and hoping that you would learn. And that's the tough one, because if you're a year or two into this and you haven't grown a lot, but your pay, it's almost like I started you up here and now I'm
Yeah.
asking you to meet it,
Yeah.
versus starting you down here and
Yeah.
letting you grow your pay.
I get it. So you have to pay a person. They always say you can't pay a person what they're worth. You can only pay them what that job is worth. In other words, like I think a person's worth $6 million because people are amazing and I love people. But let's say if you're I don't know, a helper. A helper you gets paid X,
Right.
right? And I can only pay you and with the value and knowledge that you bring. And so I challenge that all the time. People say, well, I don't make what I'm worth. Well, I wish I could pay you what you're worth as a person, but that's not the way the real world works. You get paid based on the value of the position and the value that you bring.
Right.
Right? And that kind of gets...
And that's, if I could have done, you know, if I could take one thing back and do it different and focus more on it, it would be that, because I created an environment where people expected raises. They expected raises for putting forth minimal efforts.
Lynn, we all do it. I've seen so many. I've done it. Young entrepreneurs do it. You'll get it. You'll get that. It's a challenge,
Yeah.
but you'll get it. Let's switch gears a little bit because that stuff's hard and that's tough, and it's good. But let's talk about something fun, man. What's been your biggest win? Like, what's been that job you were like, man, this is a breakthrough. This is different. Like, did you ever just stop at one moment and look around and the success and just celebrate it and be like, and just had a moment where like, man, we got something here.
Showers.
Showers?
Showers.
Explain that to me for a minute.
Custom showers.
Okay. We're not giving away trade secrets, are we here?
No.
Okay.
We started a company. I started a company that, you know, it doesn't matter how small your job is. It doesn't matter how crazy your job is. I mean, I got people that call me and say that they can't get their attic ladder pulled down. And I tell them, well, I could be there around 4. I could stop in between this appointment and that appointment. And I'm literally just going to help an old lady pull her attic ladder down.
And I bet you don't even charge a penny for that, do
No,
you?
no. You know, and then we got customers that want to add whole additions, 1,200 square foot to the back of their house. So we do so much different things, but it pulled something down the line, pulled us into this little niche where something that we could just pour out that we're really quick and good at. And
Custom showers.
it's custom showers.
I hope my wife does not watch this interview.
I don't know how many custom showers we've built this year. I mean, I'm building probably 5 or 6 of them right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So y'all have niched into that, and it's y'all become really good at it. And I've seen some of your videos.
Right.
Y'all go check it out on his Facebook. He's got some pictures. He
Yeah.
built some beautiful custom showers. So you figured out how to do it in a timely manner and make it profitable and beautiful.
Right, absolutely.
All right.
And it's kind of the center point of any bathroom remodel we do as well. The custom shower is just kind of that piece.
And so there was a moment where you were just like, man, we got something here, and this is a
yeah.
win. And
Yeah, there was a moment where I stepped back and I was hiring specifically and looking for people specifically to do those trades.
Love it.
And that's what a couple of my subcontractors fall in, because I don't have on staff. I don't have. I've got the people that could do them, but I just don't have it like a specific trade that all they do is put tile up.
Got it.
Now I mean, I've got it down pat. I could go in and I could demo it. I could rough plumb it the next day. I could waterproof it the next day, tile it the next day, and put your bathroom back together. And it's, it's really, it became something that I wasn't really trying to do. It just kind of happened.
Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, and those jobs are good to have, because it's not a full-blown remodel, and it's not pulling a little ladder down for the lady.
And that one thing changes the whole bathroom, right? It just
Yeah,
makes it.
and it really keeps our cash flow, and it keeps our week-to-week business sustainable while we are waiting on those big jobs to finish.
Well, there you go, guys. If y'all need a custom shower, I know the guy, Lynn,
we
at
can get you hooked up.
RX3. Probably the best at it, at least locally for sure. I'd have to imagine.
They got some good guys out there,
guys.
but a lot of them are just one-man shows, so they might build 2 or 3 a year. You know, where we've put together this system where we can build 2 or 3
I love it.
a week.
Lynn, we're wrapping up here. I know you're busy, and thank you again so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
Oh man, I just have 2 more questions. We hit on your biggest win. I always like to ask this question: What books would you recommend to that young entrepreneur or that entrepreneur out there making it? What's a book? And I know the Bible. I love it. We're both Christians, but besides the Bible, like a book that you would recommend or that's changed your mindset, that's been beneficial to you.
I'm really into leadership books, but my problem is I don't remember them. You mentioned
Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership. That was one of the best ones that I've read. I've also read a lot of, and I can't remember the guy's name. I'm horrible with names. A lot of leadership books that, bestsellers. Things that are well known. Get in them and find one that talks to you. If Extreme Ownership could be your first one, that's great. Sam Walton's books are great as well. But find something that speaks to you. Find something that you understand, that makes sense.
But do be reading and learning. That
Yes. Even sometimes when it doesn't seem like it pertains to you, just read it, give it a chance to kind of mold you into maybe some different ideas, some different thoughts.
All right, Lynn. So one last question. You're that young entrepreneur, or maybe not so young. Maybe you're 30 years old. You've been working hard, trying to make ends meet, but you've decided, that I want to do my own thing. I'm listening to Main Street Mogul. I want to be an entrepreneur. If you had to just pick one thing or 2 things, some practical advice for someone just getting started that was trying to decide to make that push, what's that one practical bit of advice you'd give that one young person that's thinking about taking that leap?
They have to have somebody in their corner, somebody that they look up to, somebody that supports them, somebody that brings out the good in them. I don't know who that person is. It's going to be different for everybody, and that person can change. It may be somebody that mentored you earlier in life. It may be a previous boss. It may be your wife, your husband, your kid. But you're gonna take some whoopings, and it's gonna hurt. You're gonna want to quit. You're gonna want to say to hell with it. You're gonna want to give up. But that one person that that's gonna say, hey, look, just breathe. Just breathe a little bit. Let's go take a walk. Let's go have supper. Let's just breathe for a little while, and then we're gonna revisit all this, and we're gonna make sense out of it. Then we're gonna take some baby steps and get back at it.
Love it.
But it could be multiple people, but you got to have somebody. And that person for me right now, and has been for quite a time now, is my wife. She believes in me even when I don't.
I love it.
She frequently says that I'm the only person she knows that could just make something happen. Like, she don't know how I do it. I'm like,
Don't tell her you're just really trying to make her happy, huh?
Yeah, it just kind of comes along and happens, and she says, you know, she supports that, even if it feels crazy and it feels dangerous. She supports that and that creative thinking. But on the flip side of that, she'll also reel me in sometimes when I get a little too wild.
We
with
need
it.
that. We need that
Yeah,
sometimes.
you know, sometimes she'll reel me in, you know, and say, hey, look, I support 99% of your crap,
But this one's stupid.
This one, can we not do this one?
Right.
You know, I'll usually break. I don't like breaking and giving up.
So what I'm hearing you say, Lynn, is do it, but it's going to be hard. So make sure you have somebody or some people that really believe in you and trust you that can help you and hold you down along the way.
Right, and you know, some people may look at it that you need financial support, that you need backing, and all that's true. You may need that, but you can't. I could throw a lot of money at somebody that doesn't have the drive or the ambition or
Never make
the
it.
dream, and they're just gonna go through that money and do nothing. You've got to have it in you. You've got to have that burning desire in you that I'm gonna make it happen. Ain't nobody gonna tell me different, and I don't care how, when, where, or how, it's gonna happen, you know, and you have that ride or die next to you that has that same mindset, and when you take them L's, when you get beat up and you get it, you know, square on the chin, they're always there to tell you, hey, look,
Yes.
brush it off and let's move forward.
Man, Lynn, I love it, man. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Guys, Main Street Mogul here with Lynn Rhodes from RX3 Restoration and Construction. Guys, this is so much wisdom. If you ever need any restoration and construction, please holler at Lynn Rhodes,
sir.
RX3. You heard it here. You know he's going to do a good job for you. You know you can trust him. If you guys got any value from this at all, if y'all liked it, please like and subscribe. Y'all go get it out there, guys. Y'all be blessed. Bye.